Hey, everybody! How you doing? Pray with me tonight. Welcome to the Dream Center, Dreaming Out Loud. I'm trying to operate all this technology by myself, but we are coming along. We got Brother Khari Blasingame joining us today on this Dreaming Out Loud special series, and we're kicking off this Black History Month, talking finances, financial. What better way to kick it off than have Chicago Bears Khari Blasingame talk to us about investing and building and keeping your wealth. It's one thing to build wealth, but it's another thing to keep your wealth. And so we're going to get this started shortly. We're going to wait on a few more people to come in. Of course, if you don't know, I'm Marcel Action Jackson, the owner of the Dream Center. And none of my staff are here to help me tonight, so I'm doing this on my own. But we're going to do a great show. I'm just sending out this email reminder. And we should be seeing everybody come on in, comment. This is my first time actually going live on Instagram. Oh, hey, Nikki. Hey, Cuz, what's going on? Linda, how are you? Felicia son. All right, so I'm gonna work this thing out tonight. We're gonna be multitasking. We're gonna be talking. Brother Khari is doing some great things on and off the field, and I just wanted to make sure that we shine the spotlight on him. I'll do an official introduction shortly. Okay, now I got side by side view. I can see what's going on Instagram and Facebook. Can you all hear me? Uh, um, I'm telling. Okay, we're live on Facebook. All right, you got this. Thank you, cuz. Share the live. I said, look, my head throwing up gang signs, but we about to rock and roll. I'm not sure how Instagram works, but share the live. Tell somebody to tune in. We're about to have we about to hop right on in so we can get going. We won't hold you long. But this brother's doing some great things, like I said, on and off the field. So I'm live now. Sorry about that. This series kicks off with Brother Khari. We'll be talking to the CEO of Business Leadership Council Chicago next week, talking about doing business with government and corporations, getting your BEP certifications, minority business certifications to be able to access these $1 million contracts and multi-million-dollar contracts. We also have a multi-million-dollar hair brand business owner will be joining us, and my good friend, Brother Farrah Gray, millionaire best-selling author, will be with us to share some wisdom. All right, with that being said, we're going to hop right into this Dreaming Out Loud podcast. The reason the Dream Center, we created this podcast was to just shine a light on African Americans that are making history now. And so I wanted to make sure that I invited some of my friends out. So welcome to the Dreaming Out Loud podcast series, where we're celebrating Black History Month by shining the spotlight on African Americans who are not just making history, but actively shaping the future. Our series is dedicated to bringing you inspiring stories of determination, innovation, and success that challenges the status quo. Tonight, we're thrilled to have Brother Khari Blasingame, and we're tackling wealth, a pro athlete's guide to financial freedom. Khari isn't just known for his dynamic plays on the field, but he's known for off the field plays in the stock and investing market. So, from investment savvy to financial literacy, Khari is here to share his playbook for financial freedom that can inspire and guide not only athletes, but anyone looking to secure their financial future. Let's welcome Brother Khari Blasingame. What's up, Khari? How you feeling, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on? I appreciate that intro, man. That was very kind. That was dope.
Well, listen, man. You're doing some phenomenal things, like I said, on and off the field. And I'm so excited to have you join me. For those of you who don't know, Khari plays for the Chicago Bears. Of course, I'm from Chicago, so it's the greatest team in the league. And he's also what piqued my interest with this brother, entrepreneur, athlete, but he is trying to help educate the masses on building wealth through the stock market. And of course, some other avenues, but he's a pro when it comes to stock investing. And so, Khari, we want to jump in. I want you to tell the viewers a little bit about yourself, your family man, father. I know that very well these days. So let the people know about you.
Yeah, so thanks for having me on, first of all, man. But my name's Khari Blasingame from Huntsville, Alabama. Grew up there, mom and dad, my sister. Went to Buckhorn High School, played, basketball, football, moved on to Vanderbilt University, played football there. Signed undrafted to Minnesota out of Vanderbilt. Um, from Minnesota, went to Tennessee for 3 years, and now I've landed in Chicago for the last two. So that's pretty much a little bit about me on the field and my home life and whatnot. I have my wife and my daughter, Jordan, and my wife Maya. So that's a little bit about me off the field, on the field. But off the field, like you said, I'm really interested in personal finance, investing, and just educating my peers, everyone around me, and the young athletes and just young people in general coming up, trying to do right by the money and learn about investing.
So when we think, a lot of times, unfortunately, in African American community, when we think athletes, financial wisdom, wealth, it doesn't always coincide, right? We hear all of the horror stories of hundreds of $1 million made on the court or off on the field, and then they kind of squander it. What made you take a different route and really pay attention to your finances?
I would say I had to start off with my family, my mom and dad. Always teaching me the value of money and time and hard work. And my dad, as I was going through high school, going through college, just always staying on me, making me learn as much as I could. Just kind of feeding me information. So I would say it would start there. Just learning how to budget, save. But then once I got to the league and I actually started making some money, I had a financial advisor. And going into my third season, well, in the middle of my third season, I ended up getting hurt, and so I had some anxiety about my money, if I was going to be able to make it stretch, make it last, transition into my next thing, because you never know with the game, right? So
Right.
I ended up just doing a deep dive on everything that my financial advisor at the time was doing, and just reading and learning as much as I could because I was just so anxious about money. Uh, but made it through that, continued to play. And that period of time where I was injured and I was anxious about my money just really spurred me to learn everything I could really and take control of my own finances for myself. So I would say that's what really got me into it to start.
Got you. So one of the things I want us to make sure we're tapping into tonight, stock market investing isn't just for people with a lot of money, right? It's like I gotta have $1
Correct.
million to get in the stock market. Can you walk us through your initial steps into investing, and were there any resources or mentors that help guide you?
Yeah, so my initial steps, I was, at first I started, trial and error, right? Uh, but then I opened a brokerage and I started putting money to work, and then as I learned, I bought different courses, one from Personal Finance Club, one from Mark at Better Wallet. And so I just kind of learned the fundamentals to investing, just almost like you learn the fundamentals to a game, right? So I learned about budgeting. I learned about, savings ratios. I learned about expense ratios, Roth IRAs, and just how to put all of that into play for yourself and for just the average American, right? So through that, what I'm saying, I learned like the beginning of it is the foundation, and that's saving, spending less than you make and investing the rest, having an emergency fund, investing in a 401k, that's employer plan, Roth IRA. Those are things you can do yourself. So it's just a lot of ins and outs. But yeah, I mean that's kind of where I went to learn those two courses. I watched a lot of EYL and just any content really that I could find on it. I read a lot of books on it. I got a couple on my desk right here. So yeah, just I really went anywhere I could find for information.
Okay. So for the people who are saying, what's a Roth IRA? And EYL is earn your leisure, right? You know the
Yeah, yeah.
so they know. We don't want to confuse it, but for those of you who don't know, Earn Your Leisure is a great platform who's educating people on finances, entrepreneurship, building wealth. So it's pretty amazing. So what's a Roth IRA?
So a Roth IRA um, is a type of brokerage account that up to a certain amount of income, you can put $6,500 in it, and that money grows tax free and you can withdraw from it tax free for the rest of your life, right? So, and I guess I should rewind. When I talk about brokerage, there's a lot of different brokerage accounts that you can have. You can have a IRA, a taxable brokerage, and then you can have a Roth IRA. The Roth simply means that you can put the money into the account, and what you put in and the gains grows tax free for the rest of your life, which is important because we don't know what taxes are going to be down the road. Um, and so it gives you a little bit of flexibility on there, but there's a few kickers to it. You have to leave the money in there, I believe, until you're 59 and a half, almost just like a 401k. But that's good because it forces you to have that long time horizon. So that's those are the different type of brokerages that you can have. um, and Roth IRA is just one way that you can invest and maximize taxes.
Gotcha. All right, so we got Roth IRA. D. Bladeford, I believe. Hope I mess your name up, bro. Said, say no to traditional 401k. Yes to Roth IRA. Um, so those are long term
Well, I, I
investments.
would I would I would ask him why he says to say no. Because 401ks, as long as if you're investing up to an employee match, that's automatic gains for you right there. So if they invest up to 6% on your behalf of the match, you should go up to the match, and mathematically you're already doubling what you put in. So I would I wouldn't say no completely to 401ks.
Right. And I think I got them. And D. Blayford, if you want to comment in, and if anybody's tuned in and got any questions, we may be able to catch some in, ask them in the comments. But I think sometimes, and it's miseducation, and people just are not all the time educated. So some of us go into a job and we just work and match our 401k, and it's usually the bare minimum, which is still a good, like you said, good investment. But then there are other avenues to invest, and one of them that I see the African American population, there's been a spike in stock investing amongst African Americans, which is a beautiful thing. But there are still so many people who don't understand investing in the stock market. And can you talk about that?
So I mean, you want me to talk about it in terms of actually what the stock
Yeah,
market is, and
yeah. Start with what
okay,
it
so
is.
the stock market is a market of publicly traded companies. You got public companies and you got private companies. Private companies are, held by, families and billionaires and whatever, and you can't trade those. Public companies have gone through the IPO process, and they're publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange or in places like that. So when you buy a stock, you're buying ownership of a company. You're buying a small percentage of ownership in that company, and that company may pay out dividends, things like that. But what you're doing is you're you're buying into that company's future earnings and hoping that in the future, or planning that in the future, there's going to be growth in that company and you're going to be able to participate in that growth. And that's just a small aspect of it. You have a lot of different things that you can go into in the stock market. My favorite is index funds because it allows you to grab and own a lot of different companies at one time with the click of a button. It's not a lot of work on your behalf, and it pretty much guarantees you growth if you have a long enough time horizon.
Gotcha. So for someone just starting, what are your top tips for investing in the stock market? And of course, you talked about index funds, but are there any specific sectors or types of stocks that you recommend?
Well, yeah, I mean, well, first of all, for anybody investing, the first things that I would recommend is that you have, the financial health fundamentals down. You spend less than you make. You have a good savings ratio. You have a budget. You know exactly how much you're spending on, in different spots, right? Uh, Then I would recommend to have an emergency fund, because when you put money in the stock market, it's not guaranteed that it's going to go, up 10% consecutively.
Right.
Everybody uses the 10% number, but that's an average of returns over the course of 50, 60 years, right? So you always want to have that emergency fund so that if something happens in the stock market, you have at least a little buffer of safety. Um, my next tip for investing would be to, once you open your brokerage and you start investing, is to have a long time frame. And when you get into the investing game, I would say, you need to say, I'm going to be invested and be in the market for at least 20 years. There was a study done by Spiva that showed that up to a 20-year time horizon, uh, the percentage that you would lose money is zero in any time frame.
Wow.
Going going back to the beginning of when we started having, indexes and things like that. So if you have a 20-year, 25, 30-year time horizon, the likelihood that if you buy and hold, you're going to lose money is extremely low. So I would say that's the first thing. You have to have a long time horizon. If you're getting into stocks to say, you know what, I got 5,000, I want to turn it into 10, then you're
Yeah.
not investing, right? You're gambling.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to do when you're investing against some of the best companies in the world, the hedge funds, these algorithmic traders, all of this stuff. Like, the likelihood that you get that money back is low when you look at the actual numbers and the data. So I would say you have to have a time horizon. The next thing I would say is you have to diversify. If you're getting into investing because you heard, Tesla's a great stock or Amazon's a great stock, and you're going to put all your money into Amazon, that's probably not a good idea, because that one company a lot can affect that one company. You don't want all of your money exposed to just one company, one industry, one sector. So you want to diversify across asset types and across asset classes, and within and without asset classes. So you want to have stocks, you want to have bonds, you want to have real estate, and if you want to get into the whole commodities thing and crypto, you can do that as well. But you know, it's it's necessary to understand that those are alternatives. Those aren't real, paper assets. So, but I can ramble about that all day. But those are my big tips: is have that emergency fund, have that safety, and then start investing. Have a long time horizon. Diversify what you hold, and yeah. The last one I would also say would be to dollar cost average, right? So it's not about just having a big pot of money and investing all at one time. You can do that, lump sum investing, but dollar cost average, you want to be investing every month, systematically. So that means if you're buying at highs and it drops, then you're lowering your cost basis. And then
Right.
if we go on a 10-year, bull run, that means you're getting a little bit every time, and that money's still growing. So I
Yeah,
know that
that's
was a
some good.
lot right there, but
Yeah,
those are my tips.
I'm like, I hope everybody got a notepad and notebook to take these notes. It's really some good nuggets. One of the things that I do know that investing can be intimidating, right? Especially in the stock market, especially when you're on here with a master investor like Khari Blasingame, and he's dropping all of these big terms and words and knowledge. Can you share a challenge you faced in your investment journey and how you overcame it?
2022. I mean, I had got real gung ho about the market, and I was putting a lot of money in consecutively, consistently, and it dropped, right? So I think that's the big thing that you don't know about the stock market until you're in it, is that when you face those drops, you have to be disciplined and keep investing, because eventually it will the returns will put you into the green. And that's the whole part about dollar cost averaging, is that I'm buying at highs, and if I buy at highs, I can also buy at lows, because I'm systematic about that. So um I would say that's the biggest thing, is just like the discipline of like not getting scared and saying, "Oh, I'm losing this money. Let me pull it out real quick," because you don't really lose the money until you sell the asset.
Right,
So the actual discipline of like investing, not trying to time the market, and just being systematic about it, and also not getting greedy, right? Because you start to see gains, and then you get greedy, and that's how you lose money. You start chasing returns. Oh, Nvidia did 186%, and now you're chasing it at a high, and it corrects a little bit, right? So I would say those have been my big challenges, is just sticking to the fundamentals of the things that, you know, the numbers and the data shows have worked over time.
I'm glad you said that. There's a new movie out called Dumb Money, I believe, and it talks
Yeah, I
about
seen that one.
it talks about GameStop, and I think everybody that was in investing stock market either jumped in or stayed away. Were you one of the ones that bought and capitalized off of that GameStop run? No.
No, by the time I heard about it, I already felt I was too late, because at a certain point, it's like, numbers wise, it became like, okay, this is unrealistic, and this is something that can't be supported by doing math and figuring out, okay, like, you know what I mean? So I just kind of stayed away. Uh, and then, you see what happened, right? Like, a lot of people lost money because, you're playing these games against these hedge funds where, they're short and they're doing all of this sophisticated stuff that I don't really quite know how to do, right? I don't feel comfortable enough to do it. And, they ended up losing their money. And it's funny, not funny, but it's crazy because they turned off the sell button on Robinhood when it was happening,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, you still got to realize, like, in the stock market, there are big players, and it's still a game. So you have to proceed with caution and just try to not not make steps that'll make you lose money, right? Just continue to do the things that'll, you know build your portfolio.
Yeah, it's definitely so I do some stock investing. And I really like news stocks, and what I call news. I watch the news, and as stuff are reported, I go and invest in certain companies depending on what I just read in the newspaper on the news. But the long term stock investing is the key, and that's what I like about your platform. You're not the get rich quick scheme of things type of person. You're like, look, let's invest for the long haul. Hold on to the stocks. If you take a dip, you didn't lose your whole life because you had your emergency fund on the side,
Right.
um, and your savings. But so I applaud you for that. But so with your passion about financial literacy, how are you going to use your platform to educate others about the importance of financial planning and investing beyond, talking to Action Jackson Live? What else we going to do to help the people?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of great people in the space already that are doing things, have great courses and whatnot. So, partnering and helping shine light on those, like I mentioned, PFC and Better Wallet earlier. Those are two that I believe in, that I took, and they're not paying me to say this, and this
Right.
is just how I feel. Those are great courses that'll help you learn. So, highlighting those on my platform, Business of Athletes, this off season, I'm gonna put out a kind of newsletter format, media, because I like doing the podcast, but it's a lot of work to do all of that. You just try things out. So I'm trying out written format, to do things like this and go into deep dives about terms, and put that out to my community of people. And also, just like you said, using my platform as a football player. Like, if I was, honestly, I feel like if I was in high school, I'm going to listen to, an athlete who's, still playing, tell me what I should do, right? Because
Yeah.
just as, because to me, as a young football player, it had a lot more meaning. So I'm going to try to, reach back, especially with everything going on in the NIL, right? These kids are getting a lot more
Oh
money at
yeah.
younger and younger ages. And so you just want people to, who, if they get their hands on that type of money, to know what to do with it, to feel comfortable and secure. So doing education there, as much as I can.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because the NIL piece is huge. It's something that should have been done a long time ago, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Get these young
I want some
athletes.
back pay.
Yeah, reparations in NIL space, right? Um, keep doing what you're doing. I wanted to talk. So for those of the people who are tuning in to hear about the finances, but also to just get to know you, brother Khari. And we talked on the phone. I told you, whatever I can do to help push your platform higher and higher, because we need more African Americans, period. If you're an athlete, small business owner, professional that's working a job, diversifying your investments. And one of those tools is the stock market. I've purchased property off of stock market gains. And, thankfully I got out when I did get out, or, I wouldn't have had it. But, and when I say the news stock, I made very good money on Pfizer and Moderna stocks right before the pandemic, but I had already owned some. But, of course, when the pandemic happened. So, just being aware of what's going
Yeah.
on with these
Having
companies.
information, right?
Yep,
Like
having
that's I
information.
you had information and you put together a theory about what would happen and you were right. So and you probably held for longer than a month,
Yeah.
2 months. So that's a part of investing it. Like when you get that cushion and you feel comfortable doing things like that, that's how you make money in the stock market.
Now, you're a young man. We young men, look, I be sounding like I'm 80, but we young men doing our thing. What piece of financial advice do you wish someone had given you earlier in your career?
you know, I'm trying to think. I'm not gonna say that I didn't have it because my dad, he told me about it, and I had money in the market. Uh, but just like the importance of not trying to time the market. Like don't try to
Mhm.
time it and just get started as early as you can because I got started. Uh, but I didn't go as hard as I should have. Like I didn't have the budget. I was overspending on things, and not in a crazy way, but just like you know, I had to make putting money in the market a priority. And I would say that would be the biggest piece of this: to start as early as you can. Like when you get that job, spend as little as possible, if possible, and start as early as you can because time is the biggest tool that you really have when it comes to long term investing.
Yeah, that's right. The best time to get in is now. It's
Is now,
always
yeah.
the right time. Now, what would you say to people who are saying, "I watch the news, and the news is saying the stock market isn't doing that great," or "Don't invest"? What would you say to that?
I would say that the news is the way they make money is by selling you fear and selling you worry and anxiety and you know wars and geopolitical tensions, right? That's what sells and makes them money, right? But that's not necessarily always accurate, and it's not going to make you any money by focusing on that. We had the Ukraine conflict, now the Israel and Hamas Palestine conflict, and yet last year the market did 25%.
Mm,
When I say the market, I mean the S&P 500, right? So with all that geopolitical stuff going on, the Houthis and all of these conflicts in the Middle East and Ukraine and Russia, like you would expect that maybe that would have had some impact on the market, but the market it isn't really tailored to the news. I know you can make money with the news like you did
right.
off Pfizer and Moderna, but the news is meant to sell you fear and worry and anxiety, and that's not necessarily accurate when it comes to the stock market, when it comes to companies making money. So I would say ignore as much of that as you can and focus on the things that matter, and that's saving your money, diversifying your investments, even if it's real estate, right? Like I love the stock market, but I'm also invested in real estate. I'm not anti real estate. I'm not 100% stock market, right? But I would say as it comes to the news, just tune a lot of that out. Like it's good to know. It's good to know what's going on and be informed, but it shouldn't inform your decisions.
Well, you answered. I had like two last questions, but you said something. I will say the news, the fear that they sold is what helped my stock grow because they sold
Yeah,
fear. And then, I watched the FDA maybe approving the, COVID-19 vaccine. And I said, okay, now it's time to dump into this company because if they get the approval, then the stock is going to go up because everybody's afraid and go get this shot. And now this company going to make money. So I like that you said that. You got to be very careful. The older generation would say you got to take stuff with as a grain of salt, right?
with a grain of salt. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, that's it. So I was gonna ask you, and we're gonna wrap up because we don't want to hold long, but I'm glad, the goal of this series is really to just shine a light on some African Americans that are doing great things in different spaces. And wealth, I tell people all the time when I'm in rooms, I hear we want change, but in order to get change, you need power. And in order to
Right.
have some power, you need some money. I don't care what nobody say. You ain't getting nothing done broke. And so we got to understand as a community to really build wealth and generational wealth. So beyond the stock market, what are other avenues for building wealth do you explore or recommend? So you said real estate is one of
Yeah, I mean, real estate, you know, on average, it appreciates 3 to 5% a year. So you can buy some real estate. You can then become a landlord, um, doing things like that. But that's also just another way to diversify. So you can do multifamily housing where they call it house hacking, where you live in one side of the house, rent it out, and now you have income that's covering your mortgage, right? So I definitely think real estate and starting a real estate business with renters and real estate development, like that's always a good way to make money. Um, and I'm in crypto, and I don't recommend crypto as a large part of. I don't recommend crypto as a large part of a portfolio because it is very new and volatile. But you know, I think that over the long term with cryptos, mainly Bitcoin, right? That's the hardest asset that I can think about in the crypto market. Over the long term, I think that you'll make money. Now, this isn't financial advice. I'll always do your own research and be careful with investing because you can lose money, right? Um, but yeah, so real estate is always good. Somebody's gonna always need a place to lay their head, and if you buy good real estate in good markets and you know upkeep it and manage it well, you can make a lot of money doing that. And it can be additional income that you can then go invest. So just another way to get you into the stock market. But those are the two other ones. And then always starting a business, right? Service business. Those never go out of style. Trades. There's always going to be houses to be built, things to be fixed. So starting a business is, that's the American dream, right? Go into business for yourself. Don't depend on anybody else, right? So, those things are things that I recommend in addition to the stock market.
the American Dream and the Dream Center Dream for everybody tuned in. Look, shameless plug. If you're looking to start or grow your business, the Dream Center is here to help. But that's the reason I started the Dream Center, though, for all of the people in the community who just had an idea and want to be an entrepreneur or got a side hustle or something that they're good at and they just don't know how to monetize it. There's so
Yep.
many entrepreneurs in our community. We know everybody, we all know somebody that's baking cookies and they bake them very good, or cakes, or they sew well, or, they know how to make certain things. And so now to monetize it so that you can invest. And your money just sitting in the bank
No.
does no good, right?
Yeah. So and that's all about inflation, right? So some money in the bank is good, like we talked about that emergency fund. You need to be able to get your hands on a little bit quickly, right? But if you have large sums of money that are just sitting in the bank, that money is losing money to inflation, right? So inflation is the price of goods, and the Fed wants it to go up 2% every year, right? So that's why if you pay attention to all of the news and stuff, the Fed has been raising interest rates. So if you've been looking to buy a house, you probably noticed that's a little bit more expensive. Um, but yeah, if inflation goes up, the price of goods goes up, but your money stays the same because banks aren't paying high interest rates, you're losing that gap in spending power. So every year, if your money's sitting in the bank, it's losing spending power. So that's why it's important to be investing in things that grow and can keep up with inflation, so that you're able to retire and be able to that money then makes money. It's all about earning money on the money that you already have.
Letting your money work for you.
And
One of the things
residual
I'm glad
income.
that's it. I'm glad you said. Now the bank, and if you're gonna leave your money in the bank, not all of it, because as Kari said, we trying to teach you how to invest in the stock market and in real estate. But if you're gonna put some your savings in the bank, get a high yield interest savings account. I think the market, the highest right now is 5%,
That's
five and
yep,
a half right
five
now.
percent because yep, that's where the interest rates are.
So if you can get you a savings account and at least put it in there to make 5%, and the money you're making on saving your money can go into your stock investing account. Now, last two questions we're gonna go. What's a for the starter? What would you suggest for them to what platform to use to get into the stock market? Because we know Cash App is letting you buy stock now, but should people be using this Cash App account, or is it somebody else you would refer?
Yeah, so I don't know too much about Cash App, and I really don't like Robinhood, but those are my personal opinions. I would recommend getting onto a traditional, large, like legacy brokerage, like Fidelity or Vanguard or
Mhm.
Schwab. I would recommend those, just because they have a track record. They're if you look at their balance sheets, and this is kind of getting into the weeds. I
Oh
can
yeah.
ramble about stuff like this, but like they're well capitalized. And they're growing companies, and um, you know there's insurance that you can have on your stocks. I think it's not FDIC, but SPIC insurance up
Hmm.
to a certain amount. So I would just recommend those because those have a track record of being reputable institutions and places to hold your money. So I would say open a Fidelity, a Vanguard, or I think Schwab now bought TD Ameritrade. So, but the
Oh,
main
okay.
two are Fidelity and Vanguard, and just having your brokerages there.
All right. Last question for you, brother Khari. As you look towards the future, both on and off the field, what are some goals you're working towards?
Ah, shoot, a lot on the field. I don't know if we got the time for me to list them here, but just off the field, just uh, continue to learn as much as I can about the things that I'm passionate about, which is finance, and a lot more other things. But just continue to learn and make the right decisions. Put myself and my family in the right positions financially, so that we can get to that financial freedom that everybody speaks about. So, uh, yeah, man, that's what it is. And then continuing to, as I learn, disseminate that knowledge and do it in a way that helps people understand, and hopefully I help somebody understand today. I got to work on the rambling, uh, but yeah, man, that's gonna be the whole goal, is to continue to learn and then help people learn and invest, um, as I go.
Look, I'm gonna get we got a lot of systems running. We broadcasting on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. So I'm looking. We got 138 people on Facebook tuned in. 27 on Instagram. I can't see YouTube right now. The Instagram been going up and down. This is my first Instagram live with you, brother. So so
I
shout out
appreciate
to
it. I
that.
appreciate. I'm honored, man. I'm honored, man. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for listening, taking the call, and putting up with my last minute because this was last minute. But I
It's all good,
appreciate
man.
that, bro. We're gonna do some more things in the future. Listen, for the Chicago Dad Squad out there listening, brother Khari is a dad. We're gonna get him to come and join the Chicagoland Dad Squad, but we're gonna do some in-person events, right, bro, to educate the people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're
So,
gonna get those in the works.
well, listen, I know you're spending time on this off season with your wife and your baby girl, and we don't want to tell your wife I said thank you for
All
sparing you
right.
for a few minutes. All right, everybody, look, make some noise like he can hear you, but make some noise for Chicago Bears financial guru, brother Khari Blasingame. Thank you, man, for joining us on this
I
first
appreciate you.
edition of the Dreaming Out Loud podcast brought to you by the Dream Center. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Tune in next week. We have Miss Ariel Johnson, the CEO of Business Leadership Council. She is a pro at certifying your business to help you get these $1 million contracts with state government. And look, bro, Kari, we gotta educate the people on that too, because there's money in getting having your business set up right.
I'll be tuned in. I'll be tuned in for sure.
All right. So next Monday, 6 p.m., Dreaming Out Loud podcast. Thank you again, brother Kari. We're praying nothing but success for you on and off the field. Hopefully the Bears, we're gonna go all the way, next season. We're gonna
Yes,
be
sir.
praying.
Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
right,
sir.
man. You take it easy. I'll catch you next time.
All right, man. Peace. Thanks for
All
having
right.
me, bro. I'll talk to you.
Talk to you, man. All right, Facebook and Instagram. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. Um, Next week I will have my staff and team helping me to get. I look a little lopsided, but we are excited that Brother Khari joined us. This replay will be on our YouTube page and it'll be on the Dream Center page. If you haven't followed us at Dream Center Chicago, that's at Dream Center CHGO. If you're looking to start or grow your business, we can help you do just that. Like I said, next week, Ariel Johnson, CEO of Business Leadership Council. The Monday after that, we'll have Tiffany Hope, the owner of Studio 92 Hair. She created a multi-million-dollar hair business. And the final Monday of the month, we have celebrity entrepreneur, millionaire, best-selling author, Brother Farrah Gray gonna be tuning in. And throughout the month, we're gonna do some live pop-up broadcasts to keep educating, inspiring, and in the words of Reverend Jesse Jackson, keeping hope alive. All right, until next time, thank y'all for joining me here on this Dreaming Out Loud podcast brought to you by the Dream Center. Have a great night. Be blessed.